Let's hear it for the boys. Yo, what's up? Welcome to the Bros House. Boys, season 1 recap and season 2 predictions, expectations. I am your host, Jose. Welcome. If it's your first time here, hit sub, bro. $3.99. Hit the thumbs up button. I'm joined here today with a special guest, friend of mine, Mr. TJ. What's up, brother?
Yo, let's go. What's up, man?
How you doing, bro?
Real
You too,
good.
bro. How was your week?
Thinking good week, but crap weather back here in the NZ, but sunny today.
Roger. That's good.
Good Friday.
That's good.
TGI.
The Boys is just one of those shows that came out of nowhere and blew my mind, bro. It was a superhero show that I wasn't even checking for. I saw the first trailer and I was like, looks all right. And then I sort of watched it again a bit later, and then I recognized two of the actors who we'll get to later, and I was like, wait a minute, wait one doggone minute, and then I was hyped for it after that, and then when it dropped, I was at day one and binged it in pretty much 2 days.
Yeah, man.
How about yourself? How did you discover The Boys?
So in New Zealand, 2 Degrees, which is a mobile company for those living overseas, kind of gave anyone on their broadband free Amazon Prime for the year. So because they're The Boys is on Amazon, and I was just kind of scrolling through it, like checking out, what's this Amazon about? Because Amazon Prime's still kind of not really known here in New Zealand. And then I saw The Boys, just came across it, and the first episode, it was same thing as you. Had no expectations, no clue what it was about. Seen the first episode, and I watched the whole thing on the spot.
It was so hard not to. Hard not to binge it. Yo, what's up, Pilot Cordella? Shout out to you, brother. You're the man. Much love, respect. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to the Damas. You're the man, Tyler. Thanks for coming through, bro. Yeah, The Boys. Let's just dive right in, bro. Let's sort of go over what happens in the show. Sort of give like a quick season 1 do-over, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, into the meat and potatoes. This show starts off running out the gate, if you know what I mean.
Oh, by the way, just spoilers.
Sorry, to everyone who hasn't seen it, this is going to be spoiler-filled. You'll be doing yourself a humongous disservice watching this video. So before you go, thumbs up the video, subscribe, and then go watch The Boys and come back later.
Before you do go, I highly recommend you watch The Boys if you are if you're sick of superhero series, like how normal it is, and you want like an alternative take on superheroes. Go watch that.
This show will change your life in this PG Marvel saturated world that we're in now with all their movies and TV shows. If you're up to something different, something off the wall, something batshit crazy, this is the show for you, bro. So get out, but leave a like and a sub first. Watch the show. Watch this later, bro.
And then
it's all good.
Come back after later, bro.
Yeah, come back to the Bros House. Yeah. Anyway, so the show starts off with you start off with I forgot his name. Huey. You start off with Huey and his girlfriend. They're just holding hands, talking shop. I love you too. And then all of a sudden, A-Train comes rushing through. He is basically the Flash of the show. Basically, The Boys superheroes in the show are basically Justice League if they were dickheads. So you have your Flash character, A-Train. He runs through his girlfriend. It's a slow-mo shot of Huey holding on to Robin as they're talking on the side of the street. And then it's just a big wave of blood and guts. And it's just straight away, you're just, holy shit. This show is gonna be tremendous. Just based off that one scene in the first 2 minutes. Were you shocked at that scene?
Yeah. So the first scene straight away, we're introduced to the first superhero, and he immediately kills a civilian, and just says, "Sorry, bro." Like basically, "Sorry, bro," and then takes off, runs off, like he's like does not care.
Yeah.
He kind of it's the type of sorry that you give when you accidentally bump into someone, and you're like, "Sorry," you don't actually mean that. You're just kind of
Yeah.
like saying it out of convention.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, like whoops, but his whoopsie just happens to be he splattered her into oblivion. And so immediately, just tension, drama, and that was the moment that hooked me. Like straight away, I was like,
Yeah.
"What? The superhero just killed?" Because you could tell he was a superhero.
Yeah.
Like he was a good guy.
He had this crazy outfit on that a normal person wouldn't wear, and the powers is a big red flag too. But and then that basically sets up the whole tone of the show. The whole tone of the show is set up by that first 2 minutes. Excuse me. And so basically Huey comes into contact with Billy Butcher, and they start off the boys, and the boys are a group of dudes whose lives have been affected in some way, some shape, some form, negatively. And the boys are like, "I'm sick of these dudes. They need to be taken out, bro." Because in the public eye, these superheroes are deemed amazing, much like celebrities, aren't they, TJ?
Yeah.
They're sort of held in this high regard. They're being monetized by this big corporate company. So everything that they tweet and like and share is all set up by this corporate company. They're in movies, much like Marvel and things like that. And so the public perceive them as amazing, awesome heroes. But it's the small group of the boys who hate them and sort of know what they're really like, and they want to stop them. The boys are basically the real heroes. Well, the real heroes are just a bunch of dickheads, pretty much.
Yeah. Because the world is amazing, right? That's one of the things I love about the series. It's like heroes are corporate commodities. You sell them.
Yeah.
You get favor of them. You make advertisements, campaigns, political campaigns.
Yeah.
So they appear to do good, but really it's a whole lot of like, is that good? And that's because when you're talking about if you're sick of the Marvel PG good versus bad, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there's just too much of it. There's too much, right? Just way too much. This is cool because it's like the good guys are not necessarily straight up evil, but there's a lot of grays. There's a lot of like, okay, I saved these people, but also I killed someone's girlfriend along the way.
Yeah.
You know?
And the show is great at giving you both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's great at showing you, yeah.
Even the boys, the crew gets together. They don't like the heroes, but even amongst them, so one of my favorite characters is one of the actors you might have recognized, the Butcher. Billy Butcher. Yeah. He's so cool.
Billy Butcher.
One of the things I like about him is like, yeah, he's kind of the good guy, and you're supposed to root for him, but he's also lied about being an active FBI agent to what's his name, Huey, to try and lure him, and he's like, "Oh, you hate the heroes too? Guess what I do? I'm an FBI agent." And then as we find out, like, he's lying to try get him in. So it's not necessarily good and evil, like as in I'm the good guy, you're the bad guy. It's like, even good people do some dodgy things to get their way. So that's what I love about the series. One of the things.
The intent is good, but the execution, as you'll find out, is borderline. It's not great, but it's a show. It's a show, and it's great. And so we get introduced to Billy Butcher. He's played by Carl Urban. If you didn't know, he is a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand. Shout out to him, bro. He's got this weird. It's sort of like a British New Zealand accent mixed in it. I could hear both. He's this scruffy looking, just how would you describe him? Just that he has a goal in mind.
Bloke. He's a real bloke.
Yeah, diabolical. He's sort of this rough, proper bloke. Yeah, I want to go for some beers. Yeah,
guns and
punching people. That's me. It's great. It's great. And he plays that character, and he meets up with Huey, and he basically says, "Look, Huey, if you want to put A-Train away, I could help you if you help me." Basically.
Yeah.
And
Basically.
chaos ensues. There's a part after they meet where they go to a nightclub. Do you remember the nightclub scene? That shook me as well.
So yes. So in order for the Butcher to get Huey on his side, he takes him to that club, and it's a bit of an elite club where superheroes can be themselves, so to speak. So they can play up, and there was a lot of play ups in there, a lot of like just dodgy things, eh?
Sort of like if you just sat down and thought about it for a while, what would superheroes get up to? What would you do if you're a superhero and you had an elite club and you could pretty much do whatever you want? You see a couple in like flying midair, having a boom boom, and you're like, "Hey, that's hilarious." That's probably what I would do. And then you have,
Hey.
what's up, O'Shea? How you doing, brother? My man, thank you for coming through, bro. And then you have there's like a small scene where there's like an Ant-Man type character. He's like shrinks real small, and he sort of runs across the table and he dives into this woman's vajayjay in her vajayjay, and you're like, what the frick? Like you would never see that in something else, which is so crazy to see.
Let's just say you wouldn't see that in Marvel's Ant-Man. So
no, definitely. No. And there's another scene where there's like a stretchy character who he'll come into the story a bit later. His name's Ezekiel. You don't know much of him at this point, and he's got stretchy powers like Mr. Fantastic, and he's getting an act performed on him, and then he's stretching to the other side of the room and he's kissing two other dudes, and you're just like, what is this show? It's so crazy. We're already in for a great ride, aren't we?
Yep. Straight away, the superheroes are like dodgy as play ups.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if the story's trying to tell, like if it's trying to imply this, but you see it's like it's almost making a social commentary on, the elite in society can kind of get away with things, right? And that's what this is showing. It's like if we had superheroes for real, like in the real world, it would not be like how Marvel portrays them. It would be like how the boys portray them.
Yeah.
They're elite, so they can kind of get away with what they want.
Can't really be touched, yeah, for sure. Oh. And there's a lot of that in the show. How you were saying, there's a look at society. The show basically puts up a mirror to society and says, "This is what you guys kind of look like, but with a superhero wrap around it."
Yep.
And it's diabolical. I'm gonna be saying that a lot. So diabolical. And then we basically. So Butcher says to Huey, "Look, the only way that you can help is if you tell Vought these superheroes are owned by a company called Vought. If you go to their headquarters and they're gonna grease you up, have you sign an NDA, and they're gonna offer you some money. If you go there, place a bug somewhere, then we can that will help in the mission to take these soups down."
Yep.
So Huey says yes after a while. He's not really keen at first. He's your shy dude. He's like not really keen for all this action. He's your nobody. He's your beta at first. You know what I mean? He's the guy that you probably wouldn't want on your team if you're creating a ragtag group of people to take down soups. He's probably not the first guy you would choose. He's the last guy you would pick on your dodgeball team. Put it that way. And so he goes to Vought. He tries to get the bug planted. He's looking at A-Train and he's just despising him with all his hate. He hates this guy, and so he's pretty invested in this at this point. And he's like, okay, look, all I got to do is just do this. Probably won't have to do much else, and I'll set up this bug. He goes in the toilet, and there's another guy in there. His name is Translucent, and his power is invisibility. And he sort of sees Huey do this. He's like, what the frick is going on here? And so Huey gaps it, goes back to the TV shop where he works, and Translucent follows him there and starts to beat him up. And this scene, it was really well shot. It was really well done. The CGI of this was great.
Yep.
The way that the things were shot, it was beautifully done. I feel.
Yeah,
that was a good fight.
That's one of the things I really liked about this for TV series, for not a film but a series, to have that level of CGI, that level of action, because there's a lot of moments of action. I know we're especially like halfway through and near the end, just tons of fights, and they're really well executed, and they're not just like, it's one of the first series I've seen in a long time where the fights actually add to the story.
Which is the best kind of action you want to see.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Have you seen Extraction?
No, not yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna just tell you
It's like
straight
that.
up. It's basically just a fight scene for fight scene's sakes. It's just like all of the action all of the time and no real story. And I like that, but I feel it's after about 10 minutes of that, you're just like, yeah, I've seen it. Whereas this was like the fight scenes were amazing, but it added depth to the story. Whether it was the all the destruction happens and we've got to somehow deal with this, or whether it was what led up to it. So yeah, that's one thing this series was good at doing, is tying everything in
And creating tension and having stakes, because you have superheroes against normal dudes. Hey, what's up, Ashley? Thanks for coming. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And yeah, on the other side of the story, we so there's like two entry points into the story. You have the entry point of Huey and what he's going through with Billy Butcher and A-Train, and then on the other side of the story, we sort of get a look into the superheroes themselves through Starlight.
Yeah.
Annie January. I forget her name. Her last name was January. I didn't even know that. And she's a young superhero. She's a young woman who's like, all I wanted to do my whole life was to save people. She's got a good head on her, you know what I mean? And she basically gets accepted into the Seven, which is dope for her. And she's been training for a while. Her mother's been tailoring her life around being in pageants. They've had superhero pageants for young kids, and so she's been molded into becoming a great superhero one day, someday, and she finally gets that dream fulfilled. And she's introduced to the Deep at first. So she gets accepted into the Seven, and she gets introduced to the Deep, who is your Aquaman character. He's the one that can talk to animals.
Do all the ocean things.
He can do all the ocean things, and chaos ensues in a different kind of way here too. Her first meeting with the Deep is, she's just like, well, this is so awesome. I'm so happy to be a part of this group. It's all I've ever wanted. And he says, yeah, that's awesome. We're happy to have you here. And then she says to him, I was a big fan of yours. Actually, a little while ago, I had a big crush on you. And then we get into some part. There's some parts of the show that sort of touch on controversy that has been happening in our own society, and this sort of touches on the Me Too movement and how the powerful can abuse their power through sexual misconduct and all that sort of thing. And so he basically pulls down his trousers and says, if you want to be on this team, you have to do something gross. And so she does it, and you don't see it like the way that the show does it is probably the best way you could do it. At first you're like, oh, this is going to be gross, I don't want to sit through this. But you don't have to sit through the actual act. You see her spew up later, and oh frick, she did it. Like it sort of made hints that she wasn't going to do it, but then she did do it, and it was real gross. But I think that the way that the show handled that touchy subject, and the way it further touches on it later on in the series, is done quite good. done in other people's hands, it could have been done quite terribly and caused a huge huff and puff and fuss. But the way it was done here was, for the story it was going for, it was being told quite well. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I think what I like about the show is sometimes social commentary can be quite iffy in fiction works. So it can ruin the story sometimes when it's blatantly obvious. It's like, oh, this is clearly a Me Too movement, or like this is clearly reflecting on Black Lives. You know what? Pick whatever kaupapa or cause.
But SJW type deal.
Yeah, the whole thing. What I liked about this though is that by the end of the series, I didn't feel like I was being preached at for, like, so the whole issue here is sexual abuse, but it added, again, this is one thing the boys is really good at. It adds to the storyline. It doesn't just have it in there to, since everyone else is talking about the Me Too, because it was last year, right? The series came out last year. The Me Too movement was the big thing back then. It was doing it in a way that was like, they didn't just chuck it in as an afterthought so they could, tick all the boxes. They actually added to the story, as we find out later. So that's what I really liked about that whole Starlight saga. And it's funny, because what happens after we find out she might not have needed to do that even.
Yeah. Because he was like, I'm sort of the two I see around these parts. I'm the second sheriff when the sheriff's away, and you figure out he's the butt of the joke.
He's actually the lol.
Yeah, definitely. And we get introduced as well to other superheroes. You have your Queen Maeve, who was your Wonder Woman type. She there's more to her than what she's showing. You can see how the public see her as she's saving people, and she's tough as, and she's smashing through trucks and stopping robbers. But there's an inner conflict in her that I think makes you engaged in her character. Although she didn't really do too much in this series, we may get more of her next season. But she wasn't like a character that you didn't like. She was. There's something deep in there that she has probably years and years of hurt inside her, but she's not showing nothing. She's just putting on a brave face. Did you like Queen Maeve?
Yeah, I did like Queen Maeve. Again, she deals with some. I like what they deal with I like what they do with the superheroes. The superheroes have real issues, and that aren't related to superpowers. She has, body image issues, and she's, before Starlight came, she was literally the only woman in this super, Avengers type, Justice League type crew, the Seven.
Yeah.
She's cool. What I like about, again, another thing I like about the series is that it doesn't rush the characters. So it doesn't just because they're in there, they're not trying to rush all of their story in. You know what I mean?
Which is a great thing about TV shows in general, that they can hash out everyone's arcs as long as they want to.
So they're doing that real good, and I'd like to see more of her in season 2, and also some other people.
Yeah, and you touched on it, is that these superheroes, we don't even know their weaknesses, but there's a line that Queen Maeve says, and she says it to Starlight, is like, well, our weaknesses is people. People can be dicks. People hurt us just the same as they hurt you, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's not just a shiny rock, or it's not just fire or whatever else. It's just the way people are. Humans can be dickheads, and their weaknesses are the same as everyone else's. And we get introduced to the evil Superman. I think he needs a bit of a build up. He's not just an evil Superman. He's probably now the definitive top tier evil Superman on screen we'll probably ever see for a while.
He makes evil Superman look like good Superman.
He makes evil Superman look like evil Superman was a bad boy at kindy and got a smack from his teacher.
Yeah.
But this guy is so out the gate. He's played by the great Anthony Starr, who was also a Kiwi. Shout out to him, bro. Comes from
Go watch Outrageous Fortune.
Go watch Outrageous Fortune, where he plays twins. He plays one twin who's a dickhead, and he plays one twin who's a lawyer, and it's hilarious. He's great. He comes from Banshee as well. If you haven't seen Banshee, go check out Banshee. Banshee's great.
Yep.
Banshee's a great show, and his name is Homelander. He looks like your Chris Evans Captain America with Superman's powers, but underneath all of that, excuse me, he's a dick. He's the biggest dick in the. He's an a-hole.
You know what's funny though, and obviously he was lying, but Billy the Butcher, I think it was episode 1. He goes, because he was going to Huey. He goes, Huey goes, are they all like this? Are they all bad? And he goes, all of them except for Homelander. He's as good as they can be. And I thought he really meant that, and then it turns out, he's the most. He's the most, like, the others are like black and white, like they're like gray. They do some good, they do some bad. You know, they're a bit messed up, but like Homelander, he's on another level.
Definitely, but yeah, like you said, you sort of don't know if he's bad at the beginning of the series because he's like, "Hey, everybody, how you doing? Of course, you can have an autograph." And even Billy Butcher didn't know that he was evil, and it wasn't until the end of episode 1. He sort of freaks you out. It's sort of like, whoa, what the flip? And then by the time episode 1 ends, you're like, I'm just fully on board.
WTF.
Yeah, for sure. The pacing of the show was good. The pacing of the show is good. Ballard, shout out to you, bro. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you around here, bro. It's good. It's only 8 episodes. They're an hour long, and they're all. There's not really an episode that's not good. You know, it's only 8 episodes, so there's not enough episodes to have filler. It all just chugs along beautifully, and each episode builds on itself, and creates this great, huge overall story that is just something you have never seen before, and it's something out there and crazy, and it's dope, bro. It's dope.
It's so dope.
It's amazing. Yeah. Yep. There's another hero in here called Black. I don't know what's his name. Is it Black Noir?
He's one of the characters that virtually nothing is said about him.
And he says nothing.
He says absolutely nothing. He's apparently just like he's in a couple of scenes, says nothing. We don't even know who's playing him, and that's by the time the last episode was on, I was like, I need to know more about this guy. And the fact that this show can make you want more about a character who says nothing and did nothing, it's cool. Because he just seems like he's a mysterious dude. Like, I want to know more about him. What does he do?
What are you up to, Black Noir? What's going on under there? What are you up to, bro?
What if he's secretly the most OP? Like,
he's sort of like your ninja type. You know, he's got a bunch of knives on him. He's like great at martial arts. He just wrecks people. With his great, awesome skills.
Even in he has like no real big fight scenes. You know, he's just like, where is he? And
he has a couple, but they're not something.
They're not related to the story really.
Extravagant but they're shot great, but they're not purposeful. And like they're not part of getting the story told. Forward. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And I have a big feeling that he's going. This is just a prediction. I know we're not supposed to do prediction now, but I have a feeling he's going to be a big part of not just season 2, but like the whole thing. It's just my gut feeling. Anyway.
Yeah. So back to the recap. Translucent is going to go mess up Huey because he caught Huey trying to plant the bug, and then Billy Butcher comes in and runs him through with a car, which is a great shot of like an invisible person getting smashed and hitting all these different shells, and it's shot brilliantly. They capture him, put him in the trunk of the car, take him to this factory warehouse type thing that is owned by Frenchie. Frenchie's dope. I love Frenchie. I wish I had that accent. My accent's trash compared to his. He's.
Bro, I found out that
awesome.
guy's from Israel. He's not even French.
Yeah, he's not even French. That's it. And so what they want to do is, because Translucent has seen their faces and he knows who they are, they've got to basically kill them. And the idea of killing a soup, that's what they call them in the show, is like, you can't kill a soup. They're soups. You're like killing America's children type deal. You know what I mean? America's sweethearts.
You're not only doing that, but they're also super powered. Like, they actually are hard to kill. And in this case, he's got like super skin, like super tough skin.
I forgot what the material was, but and he can
out of like, God, who knows, of whatever you want.
I want to say copper, but I don't think it's
carbon.
Carbon,
like a carbon composite. Who even knows what that means? But the point is, he's got tougher skin on top of invisibility.
Yeah,
and he's basically invincible.
Yeah.
So
they have him locked up. They try and shoot him and knock him out, and nothing's really working. They can keep him at bay. They have his cell hooked up to electricity, so he can't get out. But they need to get rid of him before Homelander realizes that he's missing, and before Homelander goes out and starts to search for him. Before Homelander goes, everyone's scared of Homelander. He's the Superman, so they want to try and get rid of him before then. And back at Vought, these superheroes are managed by Madeline Stillwell, who's played by Elizabeth Shue, who you may remember from The Karate Kid. Shout out to The Karate Kid. And she was the first. What's her name? She was on Back to the Future Part 1. She played the love interest. I forgot her name. Jennifer? I forgot her name. You haven't Back to the Future. Shout out to that movie, bro. And she is cutting deals, making deals. She's trying to get big people to sign a deal that would let the soups be allowed into the army. And this army contract is worth a truckload, and it will help out their business. And if you're in the army with soups, you're basically unstoppable. You know, these guys can handle nukes, anything. So basically having them in the army would make America the big superpower. And so they're trying to get that deal cut in. And she's having discussions with one guy who's like, look, I know a little bit about Compound V. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is. And she's like, okay, well, maybe I'll keep quiet if you can make this deal a bit more friendly towards us. And she's like, okay, well, you take off and we'll talk about it when you land. And so he takes off on a plane. It's dark. It's dark and cloudy. He's with the sun on the plane, and the sun's looking outside of the window of the plane, and he sort of sees something in between the dark clouds, and then he sees the red eyes light up, the heat vision. Can I just stop for a sec? Heat vision in this show is probably the best I've ever seen it.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
That's how you're supposed to do it. Man, I've still had pretty tight heat vision, but this one's done amazingly as well.
The way it looks, it's just it's mean.
Yeah. And so he's flying next to this kid on the plane, and Homelander waves to the kid, and then he blows up the plane, and the plane goes crashing down. That's the end of season 1. I mean,
episode 1.
Episode 1, and you're just like, that is the craziest shit ever.
Like Dub to
Now I'm gonna binge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I'm just gonna binge this whole show.
I mean, we'll spend 5 hours analyzing every episode, but I think that first episode is key to hook you in.
We won't go through the whole thing. I just wanted to set up the.
But that first episode is definitely the thing, and I'm glad we did go through it because it sets up a whole lot of other moments. Like, so for one for me is straight into episode 2, where that what's her name? The CEO of Vought or whatever, or the
Madeline
boss?
Stillwell.
Yeah,
Stillwell.
her. She's not the CEO,
Yeah.
but she's up there. She's in
Yeah.
charge of the Seven anyway. She confronts Homelander about that incident with the plane, and in my mind, because the way they had set it up in episode 1 was Madeline was responsible for Homelander murking those planes. Like that's how they set it up. But we find out in episode 2, actually, she had no clue. Like she was like, were you around there? And so Homelander, he likes to take initiative in doing those things. So that was all him. And that's why he puts evil Superman to shame. Like he just does things. Gonna murk these fools.
Superman shouldn't be evil in the first place. But if you were to do one, if you're interested in seeing one, and it's not Superman, Homelander's your boy, bro.
Yeah. So. And he's more subtle than evil Superman. Like subtle in a good way. Like there's moments where he's really good, and you actually like he's really good at public speaking. He's really good at convincing the crowd. He's good at playing the part.
He's like The Rock with how he plays with the crowd and how he like The Rock is the best person at it, but Homelander's like that with the crowd. He can sway them to do whatever he likes. Really, then he's like, "Yeah, whatever, you cocksuckers." You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what he's really saying. But he's basically he could sell you a toothbrush that you own. You know what I mean? Like your own toothbrush. He's that charismatic.
Yeah, for sure.
But also evil.
And if you didn't buy it, it'd probably just vaporize you.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one scene with Homelander just to really get how bad he is. It was
the plane scene.
Maeve. Yeah, the plane scene.
The plane scene was something that shook me to my core, and I didn't expect it to. Because so they get a call out saying, "Look, there's a plane that's being held by terrorists. What we need to do is we need to save their plane and save the people on it." And Homelander and Queen Maeve were like, "Yeah, fine. It's an easy day at the office." They get there, and they're all freaking out because there's terrorists on board. They get there. Homelander makes quick work of the terrorists, and he's like, "Hey, everyone, it's all good. We got this." And then Queen Maeve says, "Oh, there's still one more in the cockpit with the pilot." And then so they open the cockpit, and the terrorist has to do their Superman vaporizes him, but he accidentally kills the captain, and he destroys the controls in the cockpit, and then the plane starts to go down.
No, the terrorist saw Homelander, and he shot the captain straight away.
Oh, shot the captain straight away.
And then Homelander was vaped him, but he realized that he couldn't save everyone in time.
Yeah.
And I remember Maeve was like, "We need to save at least some of them. Like, do our best to save as many as we can because we're heroes."
Why don't you just like go under the plane and just hold it up? And he's like, "I can't do that because what? Because of physics and blah blah blah. What if I like rip the plane in half?"
Yeah.
Hey, look,
a whole lot of things. And,
you got a fan in the chat, G.
Do I? Sure. Kia ora, hinga. Oh, the Hinga Whānau. It's the Whānau page. I'm a big fan. Thank you so much.
Great singing.
I also like talking about movies and anime and all sorts of other cool things. Thanks for coming in the chat.
Thanks for the love, bro.
And subscribe to the Bros House.
Subscribe. And then Queen Maeve says, "Well, why don't you just?"
I just realized the other day you had 14 subscribers. Now you have 55.
That's not. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's I'm
doing numbers
for a day one launch. I'm pretty happy with that.
I didn't have 55 subscribers for 2 months, so let's go.
To everyone that has, I honestly deeply appreciate you so much. It's so cool, and I just love doing it. And then Queen Maeve says, "Why don't you just like grab one and fly them down to the ground and come back?" He's like, "What, you want me to do that like 100 times, bro?" And then that's when it sort of dawns on Maeve and on you. Homelander's going to let these passengers, these children, parents, doctors, whatever, just die.
Because he was scared he was scared of his image. Like he was scared that if I save only a couple, they're gonna say, why couldn't you save them all? You know? So he's like, if they just all die and I'll make up another excuse, like they wouldn't let me go. So it's amazing that even though they have these superpowers, they're more scared of their reputation and like things that humans are scared of that we think are so trivial.
Yeah.
And oh man, that shook me to my core.
Yeah, and then it dawns on the passengers as well, and they're like, "Wait, you have to try and save us." And then he like goes to the back of the plane, smashes open the door, and they're like, "Take me with you, Homelander." And he's getting pissed off. And he's like, "Get the frick back!" And he like scares them, and his heat vision like lights up, and you're just like, "This is some of the craziest shit that I've ever seen from a superhero, and the way he's acting around people that need to be saved." That scene shook me. That's one of the most shocking scenes I've seen in a superhero live action series, and it was sad and depressing, but it was entertaining because we still talk about it to this day. To this day,
bro. And so not only that, but the speech after, because we've skipped a few details, but basically, Madeline's trying to get that contract we spoke about with the military, and he on it by his own initiative decided, I'm going to use this moment where I didn't save anyone to blame the government that if they had command, they could have been there earlier to save them. And the way he persuades the public, I'm sitting there going, this guy is just too smooth. Like, oh my gosh.
It's evil, and he's a piece of shit for doing it. But the way he does it, you have to sort of,
he's a genius.
He's
a dick, but he's a genius.
Yeah, for sure. That was one of the most shocking scenes I've seen in television, and it was a blast to watch. I'm sure the viewers would agree too. That scene. If you're just talking about the boys with your mates at work or whatever, and you say, "Bro, the plane scene, bro." That was definitely one of the most amazing scenes. And it was done well. With Huey and the boys now, so they've got this little ragtag team. They've got Huey, they've got Frenchie, they've got everyone's led by Billy Butcher, and we get introduced to Mother's Milk.
Mother's Milk.
Shout out to Mother's Milk, bro.
What a name. Mother's Milk, eh?
Mother's Milk. We get introduced to him, and he has a past with Butcher, but right now he's like, nah, like he's in the point of his life where he's like, look, I don't want to hang out with Butcher again. I can't stand him. The last time we tried to go after Soups, it all went crazy. It all went wrong. I don't want to be a part of this no more. And he's actually helping kids who are in prison try and sort their shit out. So he's actually doing some good in the society. And Billy the Butcher says, look, we can take these guys down now. We have an in. We have this thing called, is that when they figure out Compound V? We have this thing that they're using called Compound V. And they're like, what's Compound V? And the show sort of tells you at first you think it's a steroid and that it hypers their powers. Yeah. And that's what we figure out that's what A-Train was on when he was running so fast that he just ran through a person. It's because he was on Compound V. Yeah. And he was on it because it was helping him. They were calling it like a steroid, pretty much. Yeah. Steroid for superheroes.
And then, and I think that's too when we learn about Butcher's past. Like when we meet Frenchie and then Mother's Milk is when we kind of learn about, these guys have all hated superheroes at one stage. And they've had an original, like it was a Black Ops crew called the Boys and a whole lot of other things. And it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. And so they take on Mother's Milk, and then they figure out sort of what A-Train, why he was running. Yep. And they figure out what he was carrying and where he ran to. So they end up at the Chinese restaurant, and then we get introduced to the only female member of the Boys, whose name is the Female.
Yep.
And
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I used to call her Ling Ling. I was like, oh, it's Ling Ling.
Yeah, Ling Ling, so young. But
So
she is dope, bro. I'm not trying to be racist, I promise.
It's not racist, it's affectionate. But the thing is, she low key became one of my favorite characters.
Definitely, and she's another one who can't say anything.
Her and Black Noir say literally nothing. And I'm like, why do I like these two characters?
Why do I love them so
much? Yet they give us so little.
You figure out that she's been given Compound V, and she basically rips people to shreds with her bare hands. That's basically her thing. She basically wrecks them, smashes them. And so the boys try and figure out what do the Supes want with her? Yeah. And how can they help her, and how does she fit in this whole thing?
Why she got powers, because it was a bit odd that she had powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go on that journey, and Frenchie takes affection to her. He sort of doesn't see her as this maniacal monster. He sees her as someone who's lost and lonely and just needs a friend.
And has been abused.
Yeah.
And she needs, because she's quite a wild kid, eh? Like they have to cage her all the time, and he's trying his hardest to like say, hey, we're friends. So that's an interesting relationship that develops.
Yeah. And
Frenchie and him.
She slowly comes out of her shell, and they become, you could say, close.
Yeah.
That they become close friends, and that leads to, we're like skipping a whole bunch here, but they end up meeting, what was his name? Mesmer. Do you remember Mesmer?
Mesmer. Hold on.
He's the one that can read. Oh, they can read their minds by touching them.
He sees dead
played
people.
Played by Haley Joel Osment, and he
sees dead people.
He's let himself go, bro. Let's just say that, he's the
apparently he did that for the role. Like that's not what he actually is. Like he actually put on the weight for the role. So
we'll go with that. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
It's committed to the craft.
So they go after him, and
he's got a cool superpower too.
Mother Milk says, "Look, I know that you have an estranged relationship with your daughter because I work with kids, and I know people that do work with kids. We can help set you up so that you can have more visits with her." So they recruit him to read the female's mind so they can figure out what the frick is going on and how she fits in all this. And that whole part was hilarious. He goes to read her mind, and then she basically breaks his she just breaks his wrists.
Like casually just breaks
it. Yeah. Yep. And then so we have him, but before then, so we're just going all over the place. It's not structured at all, but this is just a discussion.
It's a recap too. It's a review.
It's a recap.
So
before that, we get introduced to Popclaw. Popclaw is A-Train's girlfriend.
Yes.
And Popclaw sort of knows everything that's going on with Compound V, with A-Train, why he's doing it, what he needs. And the boys sort of suss out how to go into her house and hook up the camera so that they can see what's going on. And A-Train says live that he hasn't got a girlfriend. He's still, if there's any females out there, holla, and she gets a bit upset.
Yeah.
And so the first man that she sees, her landlord, she starts to flirt with him and offer him some sexy time. And that his death, the landlord's death, was something I wasn't expecting either. Do you remember that part, TJ?
Yes. That was implemented.
Would you like to tackle that one?
Yeah, I think you can tackle that one. That was
basically she is sitting down onto.
Should I explain? Yeah, I'll try. I'll try to explain it without getting you demonetized. Even though we're not we're not
monetized. Yeah,
not yet, but if you, Anyway, basically, she pops.
She's using his face
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So she pops some compound V, which is a steroid. If you already got superpowers, basically.
Oh, sorry, they're behind on the rent. The
Yeah,
landlord comes in.
Yeah.
She's a bit high on the stuff because when you take more than you're supposed to, you get a little bit. It's like steroids. You get a bit of like extra oomph. And then she
It's like
basically,
pre-workout.
she basically uses his face to get
As
off
the seat. Oh,
Yeah.
yep. As a seat at first, and
Yep.
she tells him that while she's sitting on his face to eat
Yep.
her
Avocado.
anus.
Just have a young.
She basically, and she's riding her face. I mean, she's riding his face, and she is so high on these drugs that she's riding it so hard that his whole head explodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And brains and skull go everywhere, and you're just sitting there like, this is
There are
this is
a lot of what the F moments, bro. Like some if you're a bit squirmish, I'd still recommend you watch it, but
bro.
just be aware that there are some from the get go, from A Train killing the girlfriend to that moment.
To the
even
train.
for people who have watched a lot of violent movies and things, it's still hella like, just weird, Like, just
do you think that the movie, I mean, the TV show depends too much and plays too much on these out the gate moments, or you think it's put in there and done sort of tastefully and in a well done type of way? Because I heard that was a problem for some people that just relies on.
I'd call them wrong because if you took away all the violent moments, it's still a good show. Like, you know what I mean? The concept, fight scenes, it's good. I think the gore is there as it's a statement that like superhero business is not nice and clean. You know, it's nasty. Like they have superpowers. The fact they can they just straight up can wreck shop. You know what I mean? Like, and I think the gore in this show depicts that well. Like it depicts that. Compared to a normal person, these superheroes literally have the power to just evaporate people. Yeah. So, some would call it excessive, but then I say if you think that's what's carrying the show, you're wrong. You're just straight up wrong. If you think it's excessive, that's a personal opinion. But if you think it's the main reason why the show has done well, then you're wrong. If anything, the fact that it's got a lot of gore and it still does well is testament to how good the show is. You know what I mean? Like, despite the gore, it's done well. That's my opinion on it.
They are out the gate moments, and they do feel a bit what the heck, but they're sort of sprinkled throughout where the show doesn't rely on them to be good, as you said. They're just sprinkled
throughout.
Every
5 seconds, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
The pacing of the show is good enough to where when it does happen, it hits you hard. You know? You're like, oh, snap, that happened. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what I love is when they show gory scenes like that, immediately after, so say for the landlord scene, the boys take advantage of that and they're like, hey, we can clean up for you if you tell us the source, you know?
Yeah. And they use it, for sure. I forgot to mention how they kill Translucent too. We're just bouncing around all over the place.
They kill Translucent.
They kill him by shoving a bomb up his bum.
Up his anus.
And Huey has to watch him while Billy Butcher and Frenchie try and throw off the scent of Homelander, because Homelander is like he's noticed that Translucent is missing, and he sort of knows where his general area is. Like, he sort of knows where he is, sort of, but he doesn't really know, so he's going to investigate, and he's pretty close to where they are. And Translucent gets out of his cell, and Huey's holding the trigger to the bomb. He's like, look, just I don't want to do this. And then Chancelucen's like, bro, come on, like you can't do this because then Homelander will be after you. You don't want Homelander after you. He'll destroy you. He'll wreck you. And then Huey's just having this moment where he's just sitting there, doesn't know what to do. Translucent thinks he's getting away. He walks away, and then kabowie, kaboom. Huey kills his first suit via bomb up the anus.
He kills his first ever person, and the PTSD is real, and it kind of lasts. So one thing I'm sick of in shows is like, you know, when they're like, they've never been killers at all in the show or the movie, and then suddenly they're like trained assassins, you know, like they can just because they've killed one person. Yeah, like then it's just like the whole show, Huey is never cool with killing. Like he's vomiting all the time. He's like pansing out. Like he's just like, so I think that's way more realistic. Like he's got PTSD.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't just like become the one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not just and that's how anyone would probably go through. Yeah. That sort of trauma it would stick with them. Yeah, and I like how you brought that up. That the show likes to delve on things like that, and which makes it a better watch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So he gets rid of Translucent, and he starts to develop, just by coincidence, a friendship with Starlight. Doesn't he? They just randomly, conveniently sitting on a bench together, and Starlight is saying, "I hate my job because of what happened." Huey is sort of like, "I sort of hate what I'm going through as well," because he didn't say it to her, but we already know, the audience knows that he's going through some shit as well, and they they create this bond through their trauma, and they create like a friendship, and which starts to blossom into a relationship later on.
Yep.
Which is lucky for Huey, huh?
Yep. And again, this is where Billy, again, the boys are supposed to be the good guys, but Billy the Butcher abuses that relationship, and he's always telling Huey, "Hey, take advantage of it. Never mind her feelings. Like, never mind your feelings too. Like, we're trying to just, you know." Billy, he's always got good intentions, but he is always willing to scoop low to get what he wants as well. And I like that
because of his arc, because we find out later on his reason why.
Should we go there?
Go there, bro.
Yeah. We find out later that Homelander, you know, we already know he's bad, but Billy's wife worked for Vought, I believe, and
as a marketer for a social media.
Yeah, she was a social media advisor, so to speak. And they had a bit of a work to do, and Homelander was like, "Get in the toilet, girl. I'm gonna have a young tutu," and there was security footage of it, and basically he
raped her.
That word. Yeah, he raped her. I was like, "Can we not say that?"
It's implied that he raped her.
He raped.
I don't know if it was rape or consensual, to be honest.
Let's talk about that in our season 2 predictions. But the way that Billy portrays it is that it was rape.
Yeah.
And so
that's why he hates Homelander. He hates him with a passion, and every move he makes, he sort of later on as the season goes, he doesn't care who he has to step on to get to Homelander.
Even if he has to step on Huey, who he's just got, you know, and Mother's Milk brings it up too. It's like your willingness to step on anyone, like even your own people, to like get this guy. So yeah. So he's got a cool arc.
That's his motivations for doing things is sort of something like, bro, if that happened to me, bro, I would have that same drive. I would have that same. Yeah. No one's going to stop me, bro. You put up a wall, it's coming down. So his whole arc is amazing to watch, you know. Yeah. And we find out that Mesmer, we're going back now, forward now. We find out that Mesmer has told Homelander, basically everything, who these guys are, what they want with him. And so now Homelander knows the identity of the boys and who's after them. Because Homelander figures out
through Mesmer.
Yeah, who these guys are, but he also figured out that these are the same guys that killed Translucent. So he knows that there are some dudes out there that are after them and want to kill them.
Hey, that's one thing we got to give credit for Homelander. He's actually like quite smart. Like he's very logical thinking,
Calculated,
very, like calculated. Yeah, but there's also moments where he's very like kiddish, childish. Like he's the relationship he has with Madeline. That's a bit of a weird one.
He's an effed up character, and that was something that was really weird to watch because he put out to the public that he was raised in a house, like basically he lived on a Kent farm is what they're trying to portray to the public. Nice mum and dad, and he was on the little league team, and his parents were supportive, and he had this nice upbringing. But you come to the show tells you later on that he was actually brought up in a lab as a lab rat and worked on this whole time, and he was lonely. Excuse me. He didn't have anyone to hang out with or love him. It was just a test to work on, pretty much. So it sort of starts off this thing where he just yearns for affection from a mother type figure.
Yeah.
Which
Madeline takes it.
Madeline's that figure to him. So it's sort of this weird. He sees her as his mum, but he wants to give her a boom as well. Like it's so sick and weird, bro. But it's just another element to the show that people can sort of maybe, that would shut me out of the show. I probably wouldn't watch. But I think it just adds it adds an interesting element to the show, seeing that dynamic that we've never seen and never want to see. But it's entertaining watching it be played out, I feel.
But I feel, though, like, as much as we don't want to see it, I feel it's more realistic, the takes, because he's had such a traumatic childhood. Bro, people with traumatic childhoods, I'm not saying they're all messed up like that, but there's an element of, like, messed upness, There's
an element of truth in that, sort of.
Yeah, we always joke about, you've got daddy issues, and that's why you're going after that old man or that old lady. You know what I mean? It's that's a bit of a stereotype, but you get the point. There is it's based on a little bit of truth. Like, so people saying, they're just trying to shock us with this show. I think it's more than shock. I think it's actually, no, we're trying to give you a realistic portrayal of emotions here.
Yeah.
And actually, sure. I know this is weird because he's evil, but by the end, I almost felt a little bit of empathy for Homelander, just a little bit, because I was like, this guy has been messed up from the start. He had no chance to be good.
That's what the show does brilliantly, is like, you have this evil character who does terrible things, and you definitely hate him, but you sort of understand why he's doing it all, and it does create empathy for him as the viewer, and you're sort of, it's great at tearing you apart. Like, I don't know whether I should like him because he's such a piece of shit, and that comes across through too from Anthony Starr's brilliant acting. He's so good in this role. Him and Billy the Butcher are top tier, amazing actors on the show, bro.
Underrated.
They don't share a scene until the last episode, but the tension building, and man, can you imagine if they meet face to face, bro? What that would be like, and then they eventually do, but the tension between the start of the show till the end is so tight. It feels like it's going to snap at any moment,
That's on, bro. That's on.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah.
So then Homelander figures out who they are. He starts to he starts to crack down on them all. Basically, Mother's milk has to sort of send his family away, so that they're safe. Huey has to send his dad away, so he's safe. His dad. This is a fun fact. Did you know that? His dad, played by Simon Pegg, does an American accent in this, which is not bad. It's just so weird hearing him do an American accent. Shout out to Simon Pegg. But when the creators of the comic were writing the comic, they had Simon Pegg in mind for Huey, so they drew Huey in the comics to look exactly like Simon Pegg, which was a pretty cool little fun fact for you there. Fun Fact Friday.
Let's go.
So now they're in hiding, and basically just shit hits the fan for them, and they just get thrown in. I'm just gonna basically skip to the end, which was a skip to the end.
Hard, bro, because the rest is like all kind of the journey of getting to the end. Yeah.
You guys wouldn't watch if you hadn't seen it already, so we're just picking out the parts that we liked as well. Before we get to the end, though, the dolphin scene was probably up there with the plane scene as one of the best scenes of the show.
Actuals. Hey, can we just talk about the deep for a bit?
Can we talk with the deep for a while?
Yeah, man. He
has this, and it's probably what he would be like, this save the animals type mentality. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to save. He hates animals that are in those SeaWorld type places and just used for entertainment. Yeah. And he's like, come on, Madeline, I want to save the dolphins, man. No one really cares about saving these dolphins. I want to save them. Yeah. She's like, no, that's not really important. We'll just call you when we need you, bro. If there's like a job next to a wharf, we'll call you, but just no one cares about dolphins.
You know what else is... Oh, carry on. Sorry.
And he goes to he steals a truck and he goes out to this place and he steals a dolphin. He breaks the dolphin out of captivity, and then they're driving, and because he can talk to animals, they're having a conversation to see animals, and it was so weird because I was like, what the frick are these two on about? And so he's driving. He's like, yes, I know. Yep, that's cool. Look, maybe later I'll touch your blowhole, okay? And you're like, whoa, they're having like a bit of like a flirty sex talk here. This is freaking hilarious. Who has a sex talk with the dolphin? That's funny as. Yeah. And then, so he's like so happy that he's taking this dolphin out of captivity. He sees something. He slams the brakes on the truck. The dolphin flies out the window, smashes out the window, lands on the road, and then a truck comes and runs over the dolphin. That was one of the most funniest parts of the show I've ever seen, bro.
Bro, hard out. And what I like is like it's a running joke. He always seems like he wants to help marine life, but he always seems to get them killed.
Yeah, like the crayfish part. Want to go on about that part?
Oh, bro, so he basically has to go because of the whole. I forgot to mention it. The whole sexual abuse thing. He actually ends up getting called out for that in public.
Yeah,
Starlight was about to lay a case. And then I got a phone call. I'll just turn that off. Yeah, so he gets a case, cops a case. They put him on a sabbatical and send him to some like Hicks town in the middle of nowhere, America. And he's going to the supermarket shopping, and was it crabs?
Crayfish.
Yeah, crayfish. He went past a bunch of crayfish, or whatever you guys call it in America, and he was like, I'm going to save you, bro. Don't worry. I got you. And so he went to go buy the crayfish with the intent of like keeping it alive. And then the butcher goes, oh, you want that one? Okay. And then like got it on the bench and chopped it up. And I was just like, bro, you just can't win, bro.
You just can't win. You just can't save none of these animals. Yep. You're just killing them off faster than they're meeting their demise before they would have if they hadn't met you.
Yep. And my take on his characters, he's obviously a parody of Aquaman. Because you remember before the whole, like, traditionally speaking, Aquaman is always getting mocked for being such a out of it superhero.
Yeah,
you know,
I blame I blame Bad Robot. I mean, Bad Robot Chicken.
Yeah, you know what I'm on about, eh?
Mm.
And I feel like this is the same thing. They're just
Yeah.
parroting that. But yeah, anyway, that's enough of them. Let's get to.
But like, just before we wrap up on him, like, so he he gets sent away because he was called out for being an abuser. He ends up going into this little town where there's basically no one there, and he meets up with a girl, and she's like, "Oh, I want to see your girls," and he's like, "Oh, I don't really like showing anyone my girls." And he's like, "Come on," she's like, "Come on, you pussy, like show me your girls." So he takes his top off, and she's like, "Oh, that's disgusting, that's gross," and he's starting to feel really uncomfortable with it. Before they start to boom boom, and she like grabs them and shoves her fingers in them, which was really gross to watch. Even it was gross to. I can't handle that. Like she had her fingers deep inside his gills, and he was hating it. It was gross. It was sore for him, and that was his Me Too movement, you know. So he sort of had an arc where he was the guy doing the abuse. Now he's the abusee, and it was he like had this sort of thing where he realized the error of his ways, and it sort of effed him up as well. You don't feel sorry for him, but
but you do feel a bit of. It's like Homelander. You feel a bit of like, okay.
You don't wish for anyone to be abused, but you know. So in that part, you sort of feel sorry for him, but he goes through it as well, which is real weird. Yeah. But that was an interesting take on the whole Me Too movement thing, which I think they did well. Like I said before, if it was done any other way and not handled properly, it could have went real south real fast, I think.
Hard.
So basically, the end of episode 8, we'll just hit the end and then get to the season 2 predictions. Homelander. So the boys are pretty much effed. They are going through their own thing. Billy the Butcher's like, you know what? I just need to get to Homelander. So he goes to Madeline Stillwell's house, and he's waiting there. He's got the baby. She walks in. The baby's upstairs. The nanny's gone, and he's like, "Well, I need to tie you up because I'm going to use you against Homelander." Homelander turns up, and this is the first time that they've shared a screen together. And it's just been this 8-episode tension builder. They're finally here, and he's like, "So you think that like you're after me because you think I raped your wife, yeah?" And he's just standing there quietly, and then he's like, "So what's your whole plan here?" He's like, "To kill Stillwell." And to cut a sword. He's like, "Man, that's dark. I like it," you know. And it's just sort of this weird exchange of words, and but he didn't know where she had gone. Homelander didn't know that she was missing for 8 years, or 4 years, 8 years or something. 8 years, and he didn't know that she actually is still alive because Butcher thinks that he's dead, that she's dead. So
yeah,
Homelander didn't know that she is still alive and that she's hiding out somewhere. And he basically tells Stillwell, "Look, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth now, like, because you've been lying to me this whole time. I've been talking to this other bloke. He was lying to me too. I figured out how you were lying. Like, your lies didn't match. So just tell me the truth." So she whispers in his ear, and then he just laser eyes the frick out of her face. That was disgusting to watch.
Yeah,
that was gross.
Yep.
And then sorry, go.
And that's, to me, again, Homelander, as much as he wanted her affection, he was just super willing to murk her. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, no hesitation.
Well, you didn't think that a big player like her would have been killed because she was the manager of the boys, and there was sort of like a back and forth between them.
Seven.
The Seven, so, and he just straight up murders her, and then Billy Butcher says, "Oh well," and then blows them both up. But
Yeah.
Billy Butcher wakes up, so Homelander.
Final scene.
Homelander pretty much saves them in the blink of an eye just before everyone dies. Do you think the baby died?
I think that is the baby, that kid.
Wait, what?
In the final scene. Wait, which baby are we talking about?
The baby that Madeline had with.
Oh, I have no idea, to be honest.
Probably died. I
I
probably
think
wouldn't
so.
pass Homelander that he'd let babies die.
He would have murked that too,
because he hated their baby. So Billy Butcher wakes up and he's at this house, this suburban nice house, white picket fence. Everything's all yellow and sunshiny, and there's green trees and there's water sprinklers going off. And he's like, "What am I doing here? What am I doing here?" And he's basically like, "Look," and he looks up and he sees his wife come out of the house with a child.
Yep.
And the child has blonde hair just like Homelander. And he's like, "Hello, like, do you know who I am?" Then his eyes start to give off the heat vision as well. And that's the cliffhanger, is that Billy Butcher finds out his wife didn't die and that she actually had a child to Homelander.
Yep. And that
End
Homelander
scene.
is just finding about that child.
Yeah. End scene,
also,
roll credits.
Homelander saved Billy. Yeah.
Probably just to torture him more, bro. Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Crazy. Oh, I was like, we have to wait a year to see what happens to this, bro.
Yep. Well, guess what? It's been a year. And we're almost there.
Next week it comes out, bro. Next Friday, as when this video is recording. And so season 2, expectations. I'll start with you, TJ. What do you reckon, bro?
I've seen both the trailers, but I haven't read any pre-reviews. I haven't, I don't want to either. I want to go in this fresh. Some of the new character, Stormlight, I think is her name.
Stormfront.
Stormfront.
Yeah.
She's going to play a big part.
She's basically the Shazam ripoff.
Yep.
I don't like saying ripoff.
Madeline's going to be interesting because, like the lack of Madeline, I mean, like that she's not there, like what's going on with Vought.
Well, we were introduced to her boss, weren't we, at the end of at the first season, Gustavo Fring, Giancarlo Esposito, who always plays.
Is he going to take over?
He always plays a dope villain.
He does,
He's just the best. He's the main villain now. Like he's the big baddie on Mandalorian.
Yep.
Now he's the big baddie of this. He's the big bad in Breaking Bad. He's the bad guy in Far Cry 6. He's a
good bad guy.
He's amazing. Yeah. We got him as well.
Like what's he gonna do? Who's controlling the Seven now? Is Homelander just taking straight up control? I think that the boys, I think it's going to be a lot more emphasis on them as a crew. It's a weird thing, though, because they have zero superpowers apart from the female. Essentially, it's going to be quite scary watching them try and take on superheroes because they're very wanted now. I saw in the trailers, was it Stormfront? She's trying to recruit all of the heroes, all of the people with powers.
Yeah, we forgot to mention too that why A-Train was running around so fast, so quick everywhere was to get Compound V, which is so superheroes aren't born, they're made, they're chosen. He was getting the Compound V and sending it out to just different terrorist groups so that they could create super terrorists, so that America would get them in, so that America would finally get supers into the army.
Yeah, and the thing is, isn't that so real about today? gun companies just giving both to the Middle East and to America? Because it's like, who's to profit from this? Someone's got to profit.
Yep. For sure.
So now we've got super terrorists, and it's all the whole message I'm going to predict is about war being for profit. War is for profit. I think Homelander is going to become super OP. Like, I think he's going to fully show the extent of his powers. I think Starlight will leave the Seven. I think what's his name? Black Noir or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I think he's going to show his what's up. Like, he's going to get some.
Yeah. They have to do
that's
more
what
with
I'm
him.
hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, you can't just have him a whole season, not die, not do anything, and I think Maeve will take a big spot as well.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping for is that we figure out the origins of how superheroes even exist, because judging from season 1, it seems like the Compound V is the reason why heroes exist at all. Like, we find out that Starlight's a product of Compound V. It's not natural. And that Homelander's son is the first inherited powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what if these superheroes are making kids with superpowers? Like what's that all about? So those are the things I wanna see, and I'm hoping for. And yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
I think sorry, carry on. Yep.
Yeah, we talked about this off stream. My only fear is that now it's more popular, it's got more budget, which obviously means that the people upstairs that are funding this, they probably try to have more creative control. I'm worried
Season
about
Season 3's already been greenlit as well.
Yeah. I'm just worried that they're going to put their hands all over it, and it's just going to be another Hollywood, typical story.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping not, because what really drew me to The Boys was it's well executed, but the story was just different. So yeah, but we'll see.
Get your corporate hands off it, bro. I think the most interesting thing to me would be Billy Butcher. His whole arc was like the reason why he did everything that he done and shit on and stepped on everyone that he did was because he thought his wife was raped and murdered. But I think what I predict is that we're going to find out that it was consensual.
Yeah.
And that and so now is he still going to hate Homelander if it was consensual and they had a baby? Is he still gonna want to go into this full blown the way he was in the first season? Is he gonna? He probably will, but just how and why, I think, and him interacting with Homelander now, like Homelander only kept him alive to torture him some more.
Yeah,
So the whole Butcher and Homelander thing is going to be something that's going to be fire, I think, in this new season. And I don't know what to expect from Stormfront. There's a little bit of controversy. So, there's a bit of controversy with her being gender bended, her gender being changed. Doesn't bother me. I really didn't know her. I didn't know the comics as well. It's all good. Hello, Lex. All good. Hey, what's up, Ashley? What's up, Dylan? It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Fano Tattoo. Hello, Fano.
Salisbury. I muted the mic. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Things happen.
So their whole dynamic is going to be something amazing to watch. Homelander and Butcher. I don't know what to make of Stormfront. Apparently, she's like a neo-Nazi terrorist recruiting person.
Did you see in the trailer? She was like now laser me.
That was dope.
So Waylander, but that obviously shows she's quite powerful too. Because his laser just destroys everything, and the fact that she's like, oh, I'm getting off on this, oh my god,
do that again,
bro. That's gonna be a GIF all around the world.
I'm gonna make that a GIF.
Make that a GIF, please.
I think we need to see more from the female. I think we are going to get more from the female, and definitely Black Noir. How do you say that word? Black Noir.
Black Noir. Just say
Black Noir.
Black. No.
Yeah.
Black. Mangu.
So we need to see more of them two, which I think, from what I've read, we're going to get a whole lot more of them two, which is going to be dope. And just what Huey and Starlight are going to be doing as well. And because A-Train was there, seeing Starlight sort of help them escape, what's going to go on there as well. So there's so much hype for the season. I've been waiting for the season ever since the last season finished. We're going to drop day 1. So this is something I can't wait for. Happy I get those days off so I get to watch it. And I honestly can't wait. Basically, an hour and 26 minutes to tell you I can't wait for season 2.
And that's okay.
Yeah, my channel.
For those who stuck around or came in, sure. But I'm looking forward to season 2. That's an arc I'm looking forward to. Bro, my prediction for Billy the Butcher is that he will help the boys, but he won't be as emotionally invested, and he kind of won't care. If you're right about it being consensual. You know what I mean? He'd be like, I don't really care anymore. And he might be a hindrance to the boys. Yeah.
If we get to see, there's a funny ass part in the trailer where Homelander just throws his son off the roof, just like, go on, try and fly. Yeah. It'd be so hilarious or weird or funny or captivating if there's what if the son goes against Homelander? There's like a bit of a battle, father and son battle, or something. That type of thing as well. Like that's all rushing through my head. Or maybe
like Luke versus
maybe they
Darth
do team
Vader.
up. Maybe they do team up, and now there's 2 of them. Like a Darth Vader Luke type, or just 2 evil Homelanders running around. Crazy.
Or maybe he wants to take over Homelander but still be evil, I want his spot.
There's so much they can do here.
And the other one I'm interested is in Starlight, because Huey's got a real grudge against A-Train, and he's got a grudge against Thing. And he's fallen for Starlight, but because I predict he'll still be wanting to have vengeance. And will Starlight be like, hey, I thought I was your new love. Why are you still attached to your ex? Or not your ex, or your girl who died. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's gonna be some emotional kind of like, well, why are you so like, what about me? So that should be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much things that they can do. I don't think it'll disappoint. I'm not really expecting disappointment. I'm just expecting just pick up from where we left off, bro, and just show me. My only concern is can the bell be rung twice? Can lightning be caught on a bottle again? Because that first season was so amazing and so came out of nowhere that to me it literally shook up the way superhero TV shows are going to be made from now on. I feel so. Can they catch lightning in a bottle twice?
We'll find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. No,
I might get a copyright strike because I sound exactly like the song.
Mate, I fully recognize that tune. It was just beautiful, mate.
Dylan reckons, I think that Vought kept Butcher's missus and homie's kid for experiments. A soup having a kid, no compound V. Yeah, so that's right. This soup wasn't made through compound V. It was the first genetically. It was the first boom boom. Here's a baby with superpowers. Natural born soup made.
But still, because what is a half human, half superpower? I don't know. Some interesting. What are his powers, or what are the limits of his powers? This kid, obviously, he can't fly because he just fell off the roof. But so
that was hilarious. Homelander's face, just go on. You're useless.
I could, used to be.
Yeah.
So
you got laser eyes. That'll do, I guess. But yeah, season 2 is going to be fire. It drops on the 4th of September. They're going to drop the first 3 episodes on the 4th of September, and then the rest will be dropped weekly after that. The last one they just binged it, so it's gonna. Are you a fan of weekly releases, or you like to binge now? Are you a bit spoiled? Do you think?
Oh, I love binging, to be honest. But one thing I hate about binging is, say The Witcher, that came out on Netflix, and I watched it all in one go, and now I have to wait for 2 years for the next series. Like, nah. The other thing I like about watching it week by week is you have like a whole week to like talk about it. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen in the next episode? You're like, oh, I get hype about it. Whereas if you watch the whole thing, you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. That's what I liked about The Mandalorian, how that released weekly, because you sort of had a week to talk about the episode, go over it with your mates and that, and talk about it, and we could talk about The Mandalorian for like 8 weeks instead of the day after it was binged, and then that was it. You know, it stayed on your mind for a while, and there was always hype in the next episodes.
Yeah. Your bro, the bro geezer, he reckons, do you rate The Witcher? He's talking to me. I do, and they've been trying to get Jose to watch. Yeah, bro, I rate The Witcher. I rate it quite high, actually. But I think I told you, Jose, it's very hard to catch the story sometimes because they don't tell the story sequentially. Like, it's not from beginning to end. It's like they skip timelines, and it can get a bit too finicky like that. But by the end, it all makes sense. So you have to have a little bit of patience, and I suppose it's made to be binge. Like, you know, like you need to catch it all. But yeah, I like it. It's a solid series. Is it as good as The Boys? The game is better than the series in terms of The Witcher. So I love the game. The series is solid, but it's not The Boys.
Yeah.
Boys is way better.
I just finished Umbrella Academy season 1. I think yesterday. So
what's your
amazing
thoughts on it? Like, you like
amazing.
it? Yeah. It's similar.
Slow burn, but amazing. Fully invested. All the characters are cool. I didn't like Chacha, but everyone else.
Yeah, nobody does.
But I loved it, but I didn't think I would. And and the missus was hyping me up for season 2. I put it on at like 11:30 last night. I was going to binge some, but I just crashed out. And but season 2, I can't wait for. Apparently, the soundtrack for season 2 is amazing too. So
season 2 is like season 1 feels like a setup after you watch season 2 because it's like way better.
The first 5 minutes of season 2 was amazing.
Yeah,
where they're all landing on their same street and chaos ensues, and it's amazing.
Bro, it's mean. What I like about the Umbrella Academy is it does the same thing as The Boys does. It takes a different twist on superheroes. So you can tell it's based on the X-Men, kind of. It's a parody of the X-Men, and it's like it takes superheroes in a different direction. Not the same direction The Boys does, but it's just different. And we need different stories.
Yeah. That's where I think superheroes are going to be going in the future. That they're going to be taking these sort of smaller, unknown comics and making them amazing, because you don't see people fighting over what Luther's like in the comics, or like maybe you do, but it's just to a way smaller degree. They're not fighting like how we fight over Marvel and DC. I think these smaller properties are going to have a better chance of being successful than not bigger than the. Not bigger than the big ones, like but they're gonna just come out of left field out of nowhere, and we're just gonna love them because they're so different.
Yeah, it's gonna give us variety. That's what we want. Because don't get me wrong, I love a good guy beats the bad guy. Flip, when that's done well, it's cool. It's like, oh, I feel so cool. Like Captain America beat all the bad dudes. I love that. But I need there to be variety in my story.
Yeah, I love me growing noodles as much as the next person. But if someone offers me cheese on toast after a week of eating noodles, I'm gonna love that cheese on toast, bro. Shout out to cheese on toast.
Shout outs to cheese toasties, G, straight up. With the onions on. Oh, Let's go.
Onion.
Let's go.
Sweet corn. Was that weird?
Yeah. Oh no, that's not weird.
That's not weird. You're weird. Yeah. Just a quick. People here in Perth didn't even know that there was a thing, sweet corn and cheese sausages.
Oh, bro, that's blasphemy.
And they look at me weird. I'm like, shut up. You're 5'2". You're weird. I'm not weird.
You just say you don't know the struggle. Like when all you have is a can of sweet corn.
Your shoe size is 7 and you're 40. Shut your mouth.
Oh wow, this is very specific. Who is this person?
Nah, he doesn't watch. It's all good.
Oh shit. Hey,
no. You're weird. Yeah, but yep. Season 2, cannot wait. Fire. Umbrella Man Academy season 2. I'll try and watch most of it tonight.
The bro just said about The Witcher. I think they also assume you kind of played the game. Yeah, that's the problem with that series is they assume you've played the game. But I'm like, not everyone's played The Witcher, and they need just adaptations need to be. They can't just like imagine if they did that with Umbrella Academy. Just assumed you read the comics, like like come on, bro. Like make it a story where people can tell. Like I played the game, but I will say my sister watched it with me, and she's never played the game at all, and she's never heard of the game or read the books, and she got it by the end of it. So yeah,
probably helped that Henry Cavill was on it too, huh?
Yeah, that probably helped. She wouldn't tell me, but
that's cool. Doesn't need to tell you.
And I don't want her to tell me. Like,
yeah.
Some things you.
How you doing, Arthur? Cheer, brother. But yeah, that's basically a 1 minute 37 video of us saying we can't wait for season 2. Yeah. Season 1's fire. And Dylan, you sus. Yeah, cool.
What? You watch Henry Cavill, bro? You better be wearing socks when you said that, G.
But I mean, let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it 1,000. Henry Cavill is just—he's just that dude. He's a god, bro. Basically running around on Earth. He's the man. Did you see that part on Man of Steel? He's running around with no top on, bro. Shoot,
bro.
I was like,
I'm pretty straight, bro. But
not even there. Like you're just like, wow. I just want to look like that.
GG. But I like meat and cheese pies.
I like the blue. I like blue M&Ms too much.
Yeah, I like KFC and bro. I'm not gonna look like that, but I wish I did. But shout out to Henry Cavill for being both a nerd and built like a tank.
And build computers as well. Shout out to Henry Cavill, bro. Anyway, TJ, I think we'll wrap this up, bro. Anything else you want to? Anything else you want to? Did you want to plug yourself? Did you want to plug yourself? No. In the meantime, where can people find your shenanigans in the social media world?
Tj Huri on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Thanks for having us on. Can't wait for
Thank you again, sir. Season 2. Nah, definitely. Thank you for coming on, TJ. Thanks to everyone who came through, either during the live or later or ducked in and out, whatever. It's all good. Just having you here is a pleasure. So thank you, everyone. If you haven't liked yet, like the video, subscribe, bro. It's $3.99. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Ciao.